All right, ladies and gents, this is going to be a fun one. It's Dave Moerman, home service business coach. Today, I've tapped on the shoulder my lovely sales and service manager, Katrina. How are we doing today?
I'm so good, Dave. So excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. To give our listeners some context, Katrina came to our winter summit in Vancouver. She had a small trail of entrepreneurs following her around. And so we've been chatting. Once we've got some time to breathe, both of us, we've carved out the time just to deliver a bit of like a special episode for our listeners. Because I tell everyone, in your service business, you want to find your Katrina in your business. I've been blessed to do that. We've made a great match. And so I thought we would tap into her brain a little bit on the podcast, if that's okay with you, Katrina. What do you think?
Please do. My brain is yours.
Okay. Well, let's get in. Tell us first, you've changed roles a little bit with us over the 3 years working together. So maybe take us like back to the start, even when you like read our job ad, and just like tell us a bit of the context you coming on board with us.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't in need of a job. I had a job when I was looking. I just wasn't feeling very fulfilled, to be honest. I needed some more pay. And the company I was with was unable to do that, or unwilling, whatever the situation. So I started looking. And I had only actually applied at about 3 or 4 jobs. I was only applying at places that stood out to me, because I've never had a goal to be like successful. I need to have this job. I need to go to this school. That's never been my thing. My goal has always just been happiness. I want to be happy with what I'm doing. And I'm happy, Dave. I'm really happy doing my job now. And part of that, I think a lot of that is thanks to you, because when I was originally hired, I applied for and was hired to be the office manager. I think you quickly saw something in me. You were like, you're pretty good with people. And we switched this to sales. I reluctantly was like, don't make me so angry. And just this beginning of this year, I think it was February, we made the flip to me being full-time sales. And I can't say enough good things about it, to be honest. I feel like I'm where I need to be. I have more time to kind of focus on different parts of the company, and I'm loving it.
Yeah, no, totally. I think to give everyone some context, like Katrina does well with me in kind of this like business development side, right? And she's very close to the business. And I think what we did this year was she had been our office manager for the last 2 years and done a great job. But the office position can be fairly administrative, and there's a big like sales component to this business of ours, Revive. And so I wanted to test my theory this year with Katrina going out in person and selling to our customers. Why don't you just touch on, Katrina, you mentioned the word reluctant, and we've chatted about that. Like, what is it about sales that maybe had you reluctant? If we look back 6 years ago, you're just like, not so sure about that.
Well, I think it's the stereotypes that we hear about, the used car salesman. That is not who I am. I don't have a sales plan when I go in. I'm not looking to sell you the most things. It's not why I'm here. It's not why you hired me. I'm there to provide a service. So if I go in, I'm going to go in, I'm going to tell people what they want. So for me, it's not about the money. It's not about how I can sell. It's really about providing a service to people. Mm-hmm. And I do think that that's where our success has come from, a lot of it, because I'm a terrible liar. People can tell. So I'm not going to go. Yeah. I can't say, you need this $3,000 work when you don't need it. That's just not how we're going to operate. So
totally. Can you touch on, you taught a module at our summit all around client service. And I think, just my group I was coaching 2 hours ago, I read out our review from one of our clients this last week that mentioned 3 of our technicians by name, mentioned we are very friendly, booked in her Christmas light install with us, and gave you a shout out that said, from the first interactions with Katrina, quoting the job, booking it, she's super thrilled. So do you mind just sharing whether it's that client or just how you've helped us become #1 rated? And at time of this recording, I'm looking at it right now, we're at 493 Google reviews, which we shared at our meeting yesterday, is just like been a long time coming, but I don't think it just happens like by accident. So tell us a bit about how you've helped make this happen at Revive.
That specific interaction, Donna, a new client of ours, she had a competitive company of ours install her lights last year, and did some other work. She wasn't happy with A, B, or C. I'm not exactly sure. I went over, I explained how we operate, and before I left, she was giving me a hug. And I know that I've spoken to you and Landon about this, like, how many people do you hug? But for me, I don't know. I think people like to hug me. I'm a huggable person, and I like to give hugs. I think everybody needs more hugs for their life. So, and she actually said to me, I've never had someone come over to my house and me want to give them a hug. So I don't know how I can train that, but it's just about being honest and open. And this lady who we're talking about, she's lovely. She has my phone number. She texted me, oh, there's a spot. Can they come back and fix it? Yes, we can. We absolutely can, because we promised you we're going to clean your windows. So I'm not going to give you guff about us coming back to touch up a spot, because that's what we do.
So I don't think we really trained you, though, to like be good at customer service. So just talk about, because like in your stage of your career, I think we're paying you right now based on your decades of experience to learn customer service. So do you mind just touching on some past jobs you had and some of those skills that you've come in? Because like, I think we brought you in probably more of a senior position than a lot of listeners maybe would, because like, trust me, everyone, I've played the game where you get a VA from the Philippines and you pay them $6 an hour. Like, I think you get $6 an hour output. So just tell me like your past track record that you brought in to plug into a window cleaning, pressure washing business.
Yeah, I mean, none of my skills have been in home service. So I was a bus driver during the Olympics in Vancouver. So fun. Just met so many people from all over the world. And again, I like to talk to people. You put me in a place and I will talk about anything and everything, because everybody has something that we can connect on. There's always a place that we can connect. I worked at Starbucks for 10 years. I love slinging coffee. People are angry in the morning, but you can just brighten their day by giving them a cup of coffee. And the last job I had before here, I was working at a music and dance school. And so in there, I was dealing with, dance moms and their kids. And I love that. I used to own my own business as well. So, I mean, I've done a lot of things. Yeah. I think I always kind of come at it like I want to treat people how I want to be treated. If I'm going to come to your home and give you a quote, I'm going to treat you as if you're my friend, my family. I'm not looking for ways. And I think that kind of comes back to that bad feeling of being like a reluctant salesperson. I don't want to be viewed like I'm trying to take money from you or provide a service for you that you don't need. Because I have so many times gone to a site, people saying, I need a paint job. Actually, I think you could probably just do a soft wash, and then come back to us in 2 years. And then maybe we'll talk about paint. I mean, again, that's just my opinion. Some people want their home tip-top, and that's okay too.
Sounds like you drove bus, so talk to people. Starbucks, obviously, for a decade in like a managerial role. Do you mind just unpacking a little bit more? I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit more about that whole Starbucks experience, because I think you brought elements of that into our small business as well.
Yeah, I have actually even spoke about it at the summit last year. One of Starbucks' key principles when customers were coming in was connect, discover, respond. That's transferable to everybody. You want to connect with somebody, and there's always something that you can connect. Discover, you want to discover what they're looking for. What are your needs? And then you respond with the appropriate, action. That's something that has been stuck in my head forever, but it's, when you walk into Starbucks, have you noticed they're like, hey, how's it going? Like, they're on it. They want to acknowledge you when they're on it. That's a calculated move on their behalf to let you know that you're there and you're welcomed and you're recognized and we appreciate your business. Right. I hope I give that to every person I show up on their doorstep. I'm here. I appreciate the opportunity to just come and chat with you and talk. I think education, too, is such a huge part of my job. I don't know, just last week, I actually had a guy, Jake, went out to Coquitlam to do an assessment. And he said, you're the fourth person I've had come out here. And by far, this has been the best experience I've ever had. Nice. And I was like, thank you. I appreciate that. Why is that? And he was like, one guy didn't even show up. The other guy showed up late. And so not hard to show up on time, in my opinion. It's not
Yeah.
hard to make a phone call if you're running late. And then he actually texted me later. It was like, hey, if you want so-and-so's quote, I'll send it over to you. I was like, I'm not interested. I don't need to see what they're quoting because I'm going to get confused. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, but people connect with me, and I think it's just about being open and honest and treat them like they're your family and your friend.
Yeah. Do you mind sharing a little more on like home service specific? Like, you've obviously interacted with hundreds, probably thousands of clients and prospects at this point with us. Can you just talk to like the low bar that you see in the trades? Because like, yeah, a customer gets 3 estimates. Like, what are you hearing from that client from like response times, professionalism? Wouldn't mind just hearing some key things you're hearing from our clients, what they see as it pertains to the trades industry.
I mean, this specific instance, he told me the pricing that this other company gave him. And I said, for what scope of work? And he said, this work we just discussed. The quote I sent him was $2,600, I think. Okay. So, again, I don't know if we're comparing apples to apples, but that's a heck of a jump. So if I understood correctly, I mean, the pricing is crazy, but also I seem to think in this specific situation, they're trying to sell him things that he doesn't need, specifically a roof treatment. I didn't see any moss that needed to be pulled off. Mm-hmm. So why are they charging him $2,000 for that? I don't know. Okay. So, sorry, Dave, what was your question? You're looking for...
you're what are customers actually saying? Like in this case, our bid's $2,600. I missed what that other price was. And then 2, like, what is it that you're hearing in the market that like our clients are saying about other bids they're getting, or just like overall like professional experience? Because I think it is a little bit nasty out there, especially this time of year in the summer. A lot of companies slow down and they can be like throwing out some really, really lowball prices. So what are you hearing from customers right now?
Yeah. So in this situation, the other quote, I think he told me it was like $4,400, and I don't know where I would get $4,400 worth of work. I don't know. For a soft wash and a full roof moss, even if we were charging premium prices, I don't know how we would charge that. Yeah. So again, there might be something missing there. But it seems that just making a phone call back, touching base with those people, and I think that that's maybe the biggest miss where owner operators are at, is they're in the field, so they're not answering the phone. But it's almost like the first person to answer the phone gets the job because no one else is answering their phones. Yeah. So while it can be like a huge added expense to have someone in there, I think that you're shooting yourself in your foot if you don't.
Yeah. I agree.
So communication, and I think that that's huge for us, and I think that's part of the thing that sets us apart. Is we will call back, we will follow up, we want to make sure that things are happy, people are happy, and that we don't have any issues. So.
Yeah, it's so good, Katrina. I think it's hard for the owner operator. I wouldn't mind hearing your take. Like, and you sit in with interviews with me, and like we're growing the team actively. But how does an owner actually find someone that treats the business as if it's their own? We've touched on this before, but I would like to hear your take on how an owner can actually do that, because I think a lot goes into that with vision and core values. But also, I would love to hear your take on just like not micromanaging good people. Because even if I didn't own a business and I worked for a different business owner, the day I got micromanaged is the day I'm like piecing out of there. So just talk about how an owner can attract someone of your caliber that like, I feel like I don't really need to manage you.
I appreciate that. I really feel like you don't need to manage me either, because I manage myself. I know that if I'm not going to work this afternoon, I know I'm working on Sunday anyway. Like I manage my own time. Things are, how do you find someone like me?
Yeah. How does someone, or even just someone maybe even not with your same skill set, but just like that 10 out of 10, like buy into like, we're really building something awesome here. Yeah. Like how does someone go about that?
Don't know. If I knew, we would have all of us. We would have an entire team. Hopefully you'll be meeting with someone like that next week. So you just need to know the right people. ask me. I'll send you some referrals of some good clients or some good coworkers who I worked with.
Okay. But what was it about, like, maybe let's go back to like the job at our interview where you were like, obviously, you know, the skills that you have and you're like, man, I think this would actually be like a good dance partner to plug in with. Like what were some of those maybe early signs that you saw from me, the owner, or Revive that a listener could be like, okay, that's worth noting to write down?
I got excited about the opportunity to be able to give my input to something. Being a person who has owned my own business before, and I just like to be involved. I like to kind of steer my own ship. I don't just want to let life take me. I kind of want to have a little bit of control. So,
all right. So, Katrina, when it comes to an owner really trying to attract like a quality team member like yourself, what's a few things that they could do to set their business up so that someone like you is like, I want to be a part of this business? What was like a few early signs you're like, okay, Dave, Revive, I want to get a seat at this table?
Yeah, I think one of the first things was like my input was being asked. And even the first few meetings we've had together, you're like, what's your opinion on this? And I didn't realize it, but I was craving that. I was at my other job for 8 years and I had so many ideas. I was like, I'm the person who's seeing with the clients every day. The owners are not there talking. So I'm the one there. I'm the one who knows what they're asking for and who knows what they want. And so let me take this and listen to me and listen to my ideas and implement them. And that was something that never happened at my other job. It was very much they had their own idea on where they were going and they wanted to stick with that. Something that you, I think, are great at, Dave, is you don't get in your own way. I think that's a problem with a lot of owners too. They get in their own way. They think that they're the best at doing whatever it is that they want to do, and they will shoot themselves in their foot.
Yeah, totally.
I am not the best at anything. I can do a lot of things great, but I'm not the best. There's always someone who's going to be better around the corner, and you have to recognize that for your business, for the sake of your business.
Yeah, I think a lot of listeners come out of, generally they're on site and they're super good at doing the thing, or they come at more like me, come at it more sales and marketing, and they have to kick their butts out of the office. But I think they have to know that to be a successful entrepreneur, I think you've got to be like a better generalist than a specialist, right? And if you look at what we're building at Revive now, we've got Jacob running the office. We like replaced you there, which has been great. We've went first time in 7-year company history, like full-time dedicated salesperson with yourself. We're rebuilding some of our crews and looking at hiring for operations. So like we're doing some heavy lifting on the structuring front, but I think the listeners need to understand that you've got to start to find your specialist in the business and stop like specializing yourself. And I think Katrina, it just takes like sometimes a few at bats to find that like right fit as well, right? Like I think you were very good in the office, but I think you're even better in sales. And we had to challenge that assumption a little bit that rather than quoting everything virtually through Katrina, what if Jacob ran a triage call, quoted what he could, but sent you out on the majority of them? So what's been some changes you've seen in the role of yours this year, pushing more into your skill set in sales and maybe leaving some of that office stuff for your report Jacob to deal with?
I mean, I'm able to send out more clear, concise quotes. The fact that I'm going to site, I'm able to get a better picture of the home and what their needs are. And so that is actually translating into bigger sales. I'm not going out there to make bigger sales, but I'm recognizing things that they need. And so, and I'm recommending, instead of washing your windows, maybe throw some money at your roof, because your roof is, wash your own windows, get us to take care of your roof. I think that has been the biggest takeaway for me coding in person, is just seeing the opportunities that are missed, because people are like, oh, I just want my windows washed. They're not thinking about their roof or their gutters. Yeah. So totally, I think that's been the biggest.
Yep.
Biggest change.
And To give everyone some numbers, our ticket size, average ticket has floated around like $850 the last couple years. And Katrina's got that now north of, drum roll, $1,400. So tell us, Katrina,
Nice.
we're pushing more into, we call them stratas in Canada. Americans call them multifamily complexes. But when there's like, you know, shared wall living, condominiums, talk us through, like, we don't have to say the complexes, but like, what kind of job sizes have you been booking this year? One, you set a record for our biggest job ever. And two, how are we getting like more of those opportunities going? Because I'm talking about booking, you know, some of the smaller ones are 2,000 or 3,000, but some of the bigger ones could be 10, 15, 20K. Talk us through how we've been building out that division. Because I think we're recording this end of July when traditionally we're slower, and we're having like a banging month, and we're booked for next month too. So talk us through that division, because that's pretty exciting.
I think that most of the stratas are hearing about us from either they'll see us at a home show or it's word of mouth. Their friend lives in a home and had some work done. You know, there's so many ears and eyes on stratas. You never really know where your name comes from. I don't, to be honest, it's more of an education when I go to these places. I explain our processes. I think that's going to be the biggest takeaway I'm going to leave is managing expectations. So when you're talking to whoever you're talking to, make sure you're clear and concise about what you are going to do and what you're not going to do, because that's going to eliminate angry clients, plain and simple. But I think that I don't approach it differently. It's a building. It needs to be clean. It's just the amount of people and how many days we're going to be on site. I'm going to treat every job with the utmost respect that it deserves. So in terms of how, Dave, I don't have an answer for you how we book them. I mean, I book them the same as I book a residential.
Yeah. It's really an interesting like mindset you have to not change up your playbook at all when dollar sizes get bigger. Like, I think just so the listeners capture your mindset, whether it's a minimum for us, like $250 window clean, or it's like, you know, a $70,000 monster, like you actually don't really care, because just like your standard, it's that quote, like the standard is the standard, like the dollar amount doesn't matter.
It is. And I'm not going to go to a house that, you know, a giant massive house on the beach. I'm not going to up their prices just because they have a giant house. And I'm not going to give them a special deal because they have 8 houses. It's going to eight. Well, I might give you a little bit of a deal.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit of a deal. But yeah, I mean, that I think maybe that's where the success is. I'm not kind of blinded by the shiny bells and whistles. I'm going to give you the same great service as I'm going to give them. Totally.
I want to track back 5 minutes ago. You mentioned like you have a seat at the table, your voice is heard. For listeners, we're very transparent. Our 5th core value is Kaizen, which is continuous improvement in the business. And we've been that way since 2019 when we laid our core values in place. So talk us through, Katrina. Like, I've got a whole list in my head of just things that you've Kaizened in the business, but I wouldn't mind giving you the mic first to hear maybe 1 or 2 that like stand out to you over the last 3 years of like, man, I'm so proud I put my stamp at Revive and like got to head up, like, or you put the bug in. Yeah, tell us.
I love Christmas.
Tell us about it.
Christmas lights was a little bit of a gong show when I walked in here. There was not really any kind of, I don't know. It was just a little bit crazy. There was the tags and the jobber wasn't being utilized. There was just, so I had to come in and I had to spend a lot of time organizing, looking at past quotes, we actually figured out standardized pricing. So now we can just go in and say year 4, bang, year 2, bang. I know the pricing. That is huge for us. Because Christmas lights is just a huge part of our income yearly. I love it. I want to put lights on everything. So I think that maybe that also translate to people. I come over and I get excited. I'm like, oh, you've got so many peaks I could put lights on. I think people get excited about that. So I think, and then last year I also put a bunch of wreaths on a house. I got my own handiwork in there. I just love Christmas. It's who doesn't love Christmas? I don't trust those people.
Yeah, it's everyone. everyone loves it, and it's, you know, our whole team's happy. It's like a very busy quarter for us, and it's very recurring too, which is exciting. I am curious on the you know, the lighting play. I guess I wanted to note a couple more things. I was bragging to our group today. We rolled out a fuel surcharge as a business a couple years ago. Again, initiative from Katrina. You know, our fuel prices were going crazy in Canada, still are, and we have to gas up our machines, our trucks. So we added on a fuel surcharge to everything. I think another one, Katrina, I'd love to hear you go off on this one. Revive is proud to take a 50% deposit for clients hitting our schedule. Talk us through how that came about.
I mean, I think it's, you know, there's such an ebb and flow with home service, especially where we are. We get winter. So, you know, things get cold and it can shut us down. So having that 50% deposit has just helped us with our payroll, making sure our team is getting paid, that we're able to buy equipment and supplies. And if I can be honest, I think we maybe lost 5 jobs. Total, maybe over a deposit. You know, if they have an issue with the deposit, you know, if you flip it back and you say, well, you expect me to do all the work without any pay and I have to trust that you're going to pay me 100%. Sometimes people will be like, oh yeah, I guess that doesn't really make a lot of sense. So I think that's huge too, honestly, deposits.
And from a financial side for the listeners, like half of our business, give or take, is the payroll for our team, right? Paying our technicians to do the work, paying our office, paying sales, making sure the business can run. So from an owner perspective, if you can have that money come in before the crew even heads to site, you've got your labor covered, and then you're just collecting the profit and your overhead. So that's how we've split it up. And quite honestly, Katrina, when people fight us on it, like they're probably a pain in the ass client anyways. We call it the PITA factor, right? PITA, pain in the ass. And so Katrina can fire those clients as she wishes. The other thing I want to hear though, Katrina, you, just to show everyone the level of like independence you get, talk us through, you purchased like a whole bunch of gutter baskets this week. I just talk, because I think that's another Kaizen that just, I think owners need to hear, like, Ben, like when you find the right person, it becomes fun. Just tell us that situation, then we'll look to close up.
We got an email from a guy, a local company, has the gutter baskets that we use. We pay $10 a pop for these things. And he reached out and he said he's had a stock of 550. And we bought them for $5 a pop. I got him to deliver them to our storage. E-transfer to him and done. Nobody saw anything. It was gone, and now we're good for at least 2 years, I would say, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, and we saved a lot of money.
Yeah, and like just for the math, if we're selling 550 of those out at $20, our revenue stream, we could make 11 grand add on very easily.
Oh, that's just my profit. Oh, I get all that money. I didn't realize that you were getting that.
There you go. And when you find someone though bought in, I would like to hear, Katrina, like, I think you're on me a lot about this. I think I love to take money coming in the business and like chuck it back out. And I think we've really slimmed down in some personnel investments, some tech investments, some online advertising spend, some crappy home shows we've done. Like, you've really helped us say, let's not just throw money at this, because that can sometimes be my stance, just to put some money and hope the problem goes away. Do you mind talking through and share as much as you want with that being a weakness in my game, and more your side, what you see money can be used for the business?
Yeah, it's funny. I am, you know, outwardly, like, politically a very liberal person. I'll do you, I'll do me, and everybody's mine. When it comes to financial responsibilities within the company, I'm very conservative because I have now for 3 years in a row felt that fear in January and February, where it's like, ooh, we have to pay our technicians. So just 100% honesty, that's where my concern is I want to make sure we have enough money for payroll January, February. I think that this year is likely going to be the first year where we're really going to be good. And I'm really happy about that. because that's just the stress off of, I mean, you feel it too. It's that stress that's involved. So
it makes a lot of sense. I mean, winter's coming, especially if you're in, you know, a northern climate like we are. We're actually losing money for January and February, and just March we're getting on our feet. So I think, you know, in that sense, you're fairly forward thinking with like what's coming around the corner, and like it's not bad to save a bit of a nest egg come the winter. And I think for the listeners hearing this, usually the entrepreneur is like visionary, grow, like you got to spend money to make money, and like that's very much me. But I think when you can have this yin and yang and have a manager actually be like, whoa, let's pump the brakes, like 5 or 10 grand extra in the business account, like might be a good idea. Or maybe, Dave, we should stop like paying this person or this thing because we're not getting like good value out of it. I think it's not that you're a cheap person by any means. I think you just like
don't want to recognize value.
You recognize value. Yeah. Talk me that through, because I think that's a good thing for listeners to hear.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, whether it be, you know, spending money on people that are not giving you what they should be, or supplies or I mean, wasting your time and effort on clients who are not good. Like you need to pare down and you need to focus on what's giving you the good payback. And yeah, I think we have made some great improvements this year. I think that it's only going to help Revive grow to where we need to be. And I think that, yeah, I mean, checking you, I'll check you if I think that there's some, and you'll check me. I mean, that's the great thing about this relationship is like, that I feel the opportunity, or I feel the okay to say, hey, Dave, let's not do this.
Yeah, I think, and for listeners, I actually like respect that with Katrina, that usually the owner like needs to feel like they have all the answers. But I think with us, like, you know, I'm running 2 businesses, I'm growing a family. Like, I feel like I do other things outside Revive, but knowing that there's always someone there that can be, you know, accountable for the business and also like really watch a lot of the day to day. And I think it's unique in your role, Katrina. Like, you've done the office for 2 years. You're very in tune how to take a deposit and book a job, but now like you're focused more on the sales role, which like is exciting too. So like having this like Swiss Army knife in the business is exciting too. One more topic I want to hit on is when it comes to building a brand, I think Revive's done a really good job building a local brand where people know, like, and trust us. Can you talk to how you think that changes your sales process when you're going in? It might not be as much of a heavy lift saying, here's our 500 Google reviews and what people are saying. Do you mind just touching on that? Because I think in 2024, moving into 2025, I think if the marketing and the brand is built proper, I think sales becomes actually like pretty fun, that you're not having to like pull these huge discounts and do these like weird follow-ups. Like, just talk through your experience in selling a premium service, like under the umbrella of a premium brand.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, there is some pressure that comes with being the highest rated and reviewed, but I also, it's that way for a reason. So I try to not let that kind of sit on my shoulder and pressure me. Again, I just approach every job, really. What can I do for you? What do you need? Can I bundle other services to get you a better deal? Can I push your job back a little bit? Or, oh, this pricing isn't good for you. Can you wait until October? If you can wait until October, I can give you a better deal. All of those things, I think, word of mouth, people recognize, and I think people are starting to recognize that, you know, I always say we're not perfect. We're never leaving a site being like, haha, we left that window dirty. We want to come back and clean it again tomorrow. Like, that's never our goal. But of course, we will come back and take care of any areas. So I think in terms of like owners building a brand for themselves, they need to find out what that unique thing about them is, whether it be that service, that, you know, they wear funny clothing as a gimmick. I don't know what it might be, but you got to find that thing. And for us, I think it's our service. I mean, I don't want to service as a gimmick, but like we promise what we're going to do and we follow through with that.
Yeah, it's probably, if the listeners are following this, like, I think at Revive, our quality is very good, but I think our service is even better. And I think we do a really good job cleaning windows. Is there a window cleaner in town that cleans windows better? I bet there actually is. There probably is. But I think, is there a company that serves the customers better? That I would be really hard pressed to find. And, you know, it's funny on the gimmicks, Katrina, a funny uniform. Like we decided to not wear kilts on the job site. That's just not our thing. And some companies want that or want to wear a different funny uniform, fine. But I think we've just kept things pretty simple. And, you know, when people call in our area, they generally want their time back and they just want to hit the easy button and say, don't give me the runaround that most plumbers, electricians, window cleaners all have. Like, just take my money and just like make it easy. And I think
Show up
we
on
both,
time.
yeah,
Sorry,
next one.
Show up on time, do my job right, and take my money, and then call me again next year for the same thing. That's what they want. They don't need all these gimmicks. They don't want them. They just want their job done.
Yep. Yeah, it's getting to the end result in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of friction. I know we both believe that. And I think it's been a fun journey we've been on, really programming all of our technicians to see it in the same way. Because I think most owners listening in, they're probably not their ideal target client. So they think, they sit in their truck, oh man, like $2,000 for a roof house driveway. I think I should bring it down to $1,500. Like, that's a lot of money, but you need to know your customers, like your price needs to be in a range, but your customers are buying that convenient experience. And that extra $500, Katrina, will come in very handy when you want to buy gutter baskets or more Christmas lights or hire better people. That margin owners need to have in their business.
Yeah. Yeah. I have the luxury or ignorance, whatever you want to just, I don't pay attention to that. I really don't. I don't pay attention to the dollar signs. I'm providing a job for you and this is how much it's going to be. And if we are slow and I can give you a deal, then I'm going to give you a deal. But if we're booking into late August, then I'm not going to give you a deal.
Yeah. Let's do one more exercise just for one more gold nugget. Touch on packaging for me. If I have a home and I got moss on the north side of my roof. I want all my windows done. I'm going to need the gutters done because the moss is going to flow into the gutters, and my house has not been washed in 3 years, and my driveway is not looking so great either. Just talk me through like those 4 or 5 services. How would you go about structuring that kind of quote? Do you go in, quote line by line and give a discount for everything? Like, talk me through it without giving away well, go ahead, just give away our secrets.
I'm going to quote as if the way that the technicians do the job. So I start at the top of the house and I work my way down. So if we're doing roof moss removal, we're doing a spray, then we're doing gutters, and then we're going to do a soft wash, which includes all of your exterior windows. I might give you an option to add your interior windows and driveway. And then at the end, if this entire package is purchased, then you're going to get a discount. And it's going to be a bundle discount based on this. And I always put in, there's always a caveat, this amount will change if items are added or removed. Yeah. And plain and simple. It's kind of the same thing with our Christmas lights. We have discounted, you know, whether it's early October, late October, same thing. It's very straightforward.
So where would that percent be for that discount? I'm sure it varies case by case, but give us some parameters. Are you winging off 5%? Are you taking off 20%?
I'm usually doing about 10. Doing about 10. Friends and family, depending on the job, I'll probably do 15, but to be honest, more than that, we're not valuing our services the way we should be. So.
And just to set some quick coaching for the listeners in, like, if you actually go for an avatar house like ours and do the roof, the house, everything we rattled off, that could easily be, let's call it a $3,500 ticket, would not be abnormal. So for us to say, why would you take 10% off? That's your whole margin. Like, we're still going to walk out of that deal with, call it a $2,900, let's call it a $3,000 ticket. That for us, Katrina, we'd probably send a third tech and do like a 3-person crew, knock it out in a day, and still walk out of there beautifully with a $125, $150 an hour charge rate, which in our market is great. And the big thing is we just want a happy client, so that, you know, we've got more than a few accounts, Katrina, like residential accounts that will pay $3, $4, $5 grand the same month every year. And we just come out and do it like clockwork and hit our charge rates. I think like don't look at it discount and like losing money. Look at it like more value packing, so we can get it all done in one visit. Client gets more cleaned and we get to hit our charge rates. And like, just sometimes when you start going a la carte, service by service, it's like sitting in a taxi, like it can really run up. So if we just tighten it at the end, and also I think, Katrina, it plays in how much you see that client, like their idea, like we just want to work for you, let us show you what we got, versus like, I can just tell Barry Jones is going to be a high PETA factor.
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I like firing those clients because we don't need them. And it's nice to be in a position where we can fire clients, right? I know some people don't always feel that. I think the other thing to keep in mind too is this is not a one time and gone kind of situation. At no point in time are we ever looking at servicing a client one time. And that's something that clients love to hear. When I'm like, well, when we come back and see you next time, people respect that and they are excited about that, because as you explain to them, the more I come here, the more familiar I am with your house, the faster I can get the job done, the more comfortable you are. This lady who had just left the review for us, I believe her name was Donna. She was like, she called me and she said, Katrina, I've never felt so comfortable having technicians, random people in my house. I felt so comfortable. Like, I'm so happy to hear that that's a scary thing, inviting people in your house to, wash my windows. So.
And as good as we are, like our whole service team is like literally badass. It's funny, we've upgraded now our team meetings at Starbucks, and like it's 2 weeks in a row now, Katrina. We've had a comment from a random, patron, basically like joke with us, or like the last guy was like, whatever's going on here, there's like a good energy, right? It's like 70-year-old guy. Like, so it's like, it's not just us, it's also like our techs going out and like literally kicking butt. Not perfect. We're not perfect. They're not perfect, but they're doing amazing work, which like that just makes the whole business go round.
It does. Absolutely. If you don't have the good people doing your jobs, then you don't have a business.
Totally.
Something very similar. Actually, Starbucks always said that. Our people are our business. So if you're not treating your people well, then they're not going to treat your clients well, and you're not going to have clients.
Yeah, totally. Last thing to close, you're obviously like very skilled integrator. Those of us that have read like Rocket Fuel, like really good, like day to day, but talk me through, I want you to put on your visionary cap for a second and look at what we're doing with painting, multifamily projects. Like most people don't know this, Katrina, but like most of our revenue is actually in, for US listeners, an 18-mile square box that we stay a lot in, and we're starting to branch out more. But what do you see in the next 2-3 years as far as like vision casting for this business, where you think it could move to, either on a revenue basis or like trucks or like service opportunities? What do you see in, let's just go like 2025, 2026 at this point?
We have a space where we can have our Friday barbecues and all of our storage and our office. We are moved more into stratas and large commercial properties. I never would want to get rid of residential. I think residential is great. I think it's such a huge part of we need to stay in residential. But in terms of painting, I think painting is going to grow a little bit more slow than we anticipate. And I think that's just because we're advertising to our existing clients, right? So, and painting is something that doesn't happen every 2 years. It happens every 10 years or 15 years. So, I think that, I think that painting is going to be a good thing, but I do think we're going to move more into strata residential or commercial, and we're going to have 9-10 teams.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, I don't think it's insane now that we've got this new model of in-person. We're very much structuring better what our 2-person service teams can do. That I think, to have the business doubled in the next 2 seasons, I don't think is unrealistic. It's going to be a lot of heavy lifting, but I don't think it's like pie in the sky at this point, just based on, we even did an email. I was telling our group, I love our emails, and I've been sitting on my hands this year because we have so much inbound work. But our last email we sent out, and we had almost a 76% open rate and like 800 people click through for looking at, like, it's just like crazy the stats we're getting, which is exciting too. So I think we're walking before we run, but I think, yeah, I would be aligned on that vision in the next couple of years to double things up. We've talked about a headquarters, and I think listeners need to know, usually in one of two camps. One is like a very affluent area where it's very expensive to live, which is us, and great because we have clients. Can be harder to get really good technicians and also harder to get a space. Others are in very small rural communities. They could get a space, Katrina, for $1,000 a month, the shop, parking, barbecues. But then, people look at your $500 quote and they're like, that's a lot of money. Where us now, like, it'll just depends on your market. So you got to kind of tether that vision to where you are as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's wrap here, Katrina. Any last parting words of advice? That we've touched on building a brand, we've touched on packaging, we've touched on client service, we've touched on how to grow the business. I think this is all very valuable, and I think just listeners seeing how you talk and communicate is great to see. But anything we've missed out or something you wouldn't mind leaving some advice for the listeners when it pertains to growing their business?
Manage expectations of your clients. That's where the things go sideways. People are expecting one thing and it doesn't happen. Be clear and concise with your quotes and manage expectations. And when people have a concern, listen to them. It might not be anything to us. We got an email, giant email, all these things are wrong. And I emailed back, it's like, it sounds like we need to come back and touch for windows and like a door. It's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's all it is. It doesn't need to be a big giant thing. So just manage expectations. Be honest.
I love it. I'm going to leave you with one last challenge, and I've never done this 200 episodes in. You know me very well. I want you to tell the listeners, like, if they listen this long, they obviously love HSBC. They love Dave. Where's something Dave's not so good at? Because I got a list of things I'm not great at. But people hear this podcast, they listen. What's something Dave is actively working on, or something that you've seen, like, if you kind of tighten this up, I think you'd be a lot better leader, entrepreneur. I'm curious your take, and you're not going to lose your job over this. So no.
I do think that you can be a little bit too willy-nilly with management.
Interesting. So, go on with that. This is good.
As I think people find comfort in having their manager say, you get X amount of days off every year, you have to work this time to this time. And I know that we have a different relationship and that's okay. But to be honest, I feel like I'm a unique person in that situation. I don't need someone managing me. But if I'm going to be honest, I think probably 95% of the population does. Yeah. And so I think that you need to, for those people, I think you need to be more clear, more concise, and manage. I don't micromanage, but sometimes people need to be micromanaged.
More structure.
More structure, I think. Yeah. I think
so. And if I'd push on that, like, I know I need to do that, but I think, and we've chatted about this week, but I think whether the owner's going to do that or the owner needs to have a manager do that, I think the business 2000% needs that, right? And I think people see me and they think, oh, like, what a nice guy building this business, nice family guy. Like, I think my like niceness and chillness has got me really far. But as you start to get to a 10-person business, there's trucks flying around, there's more people in the office. Like, you do need to have someone kind of come in and kick ass a bit. And I'm just like, I do definitely sharing with everybody. Like, I do struggle, I think, with like holding people really accountable because I know how to manage myself, but I think it just, like, if I'm being honest, Katrina, for me, I'm like, we're cleaning houses. It's like, it's to me, like, nothing's
big of a deal.
That's the thing. Like, to me in life, like, nothing is ever a big deal, ever. And I'm just like, we'll figure it out. And it's like, that can be cancerous when growing a company too, where it's like, you didn't call that client and they sent their staff member to open up the shop and they're pissed. like that is actually a big deal to them. And so it has to be a big deal to us. Yeah.
Exactly. That's the thing. And if it's a big deal to your client, then it should be a big deal to you. You really need to acknowledge that. And I think that if you can manage like that, but I think it can get you into a problem where people become used to that and maybe without knowing it can take advantage of a situation without meaning to, but it's just the way that I've always done it. So I'm just going to continue in it. And then people learn bad habits from other people. And so it can kind of grow. Yeah.
It builds kind of a scary, like lackadaisical culture, which you need to like watch out for, I think, for sure. So no, that's really good call out in coaching. Thanks for that. I just wanted all the listeners. No, we don't need to hear all that. I just like, I love hearing that because I think some listeners sometimes wonder. To wrap up, Katrina, people who hear this in the next 6 months end up joining HSBC. There's probably a pretty good chance they'll get to shake your hand at our winter summit in 2025. Tell us, maybe give a little teaser of how that event went for you and kind of what you're looking forward to this year. We still got to do some planning on that, but tell us, hopefully you're going to be there.
I am. I better be there. But honestly, it was so fun. It was my first time meeting everybody there. I think that it just, because I'd done a couple of Zoom meetings with everybody, but just as an entrepreneur, like coming in there, I can just see everybody so excited and so many ideas. And that's the great thing is that nobody is gatekeeping. Everybody's sharing their ideas and building on top of them. And it's such for us, it's a slower part of the year. And so it's such a great opportunity to just take that and invest back into yourself and your business and your other staff if you bring them, and invest into you. Dave, you're a great leader, regardless of maybe being a little
working on it, But like you look at Katrina, everything we've done with Revive, and you think if you have an owner operator that could actually get access to these systems and training and coaching, like how, like even just the people you bid against generally, like let's just say, and we don't coach competition for that reason, but like let's just say they came in our coaching program for a year, like they would kick some serious butt just having access to everything that we've built. And so it just seems like almost our way of franchising Revive is through HSBC, because I do think it does translate to landscaping. You've got a family member as a painting business. Like it's all very connected, which is like exciting for the future.
Yeah, for sure. It is. Absolutely.
Cool. So people can come meet Katrina at the Winter Summit if they join, if they get to Vancouver. But Katrina, I appreciate your time today. I know we ran a little longer, but lots of gold nuggets. And I think it's going to help a lot of busy CEOs find their Katrina to help grow their business. So I appreciate you stopping by and dropping all this wisdom.
Always, Dave. It's been great. Thank you.